Hi, my name is Pascal, and I run a service called Sharpen That Page. And this is a first of a series I'm making on creating struggle first pages. And struggle first pages are the type of page for your product or your service that basically focuses on telling the visitor, I understand what you're going through, I understand your struggle. You're at the right place. And they will respond by saying, I feel understood. What's this all about? And they will scroll further down below. Pages like that look like this, or this one too. And if you stick around at the end of the video, I'll be showing you what I think about this one in particular. Here's another one, famous one, 35 by 500. This one that I showcased on my blog. This one from McCumbee, very great. This one and also this one is also one of those kinds of pages. So let's see. For today, what I was thinking of doing is asking the question, what would it look like to build one in Squarespace? So these pages are pretty much text-based, so you might be thinking, no problem, I can do one of these in Squarespace. You know, of course, what's the idea? What I advocate for is, use text, but make it a little bit punchy so that you can draw the eye towards certain places on your page in a way that that is not just a wall of text. Okay, so I'll be taking one of my own pages as an example, and in order to draw the eye, in order to make things pop out more, you want to create contrast. You want to draw the eye to certain words, and so not just about adding bold and adding boxes too, but also changing the width of those boxes, changing the size of text, doing funky things like this is, it's all achievable if you know HTML and CSS. But if you don't want to do that, if you don't want to be bothered with that, but you still want to achieve better contrast, better rhythm with your mostly text struggle first page, then I was wondering if we could do that in Squarespace. And it turns out we can do a pretty good job. So I'll just I'll save the changes. So this is how it would look, a page like the one that I had over here. Okay, so I started with this and I try to see what can we do with Squarespace. Can we achieve some of the same things, changing the width of things and stuff? I already kind of knew the answer, but I want to recreate a page in Squarespace to see how it fared. It fares pretty well. Over here we have this bigger sort of quote, other quotes, and I'm using these things here which are actually just text, special character. Turns out okay. And on Squarespace, kind of easy to do these kind of reveal sort of fade ins, so that's nice. And pretty much everything is here, including this box at the right, which I think is kind of cool that I was able to pull it off. There's a few caveats though. There's a few things I'd like to, that I think Squarespace does that isn't great. But, the tool is not meant for this kind of page specifically, I think, for what I want to do with it. And I'll give you reasons why. So I'll just give you, let's go back to editing. The main trick is that every time you add a block, you can change aspects of it broadly. You can change the width, for example, of the content. Small, medium, large, full width, etc. That's one trick. But now, as you see, how do you, like, the small one is basically half, and medium is 3/4, actually a little bit more. So how do I achieve that this one is not as wide as this one, for example, is so the trick is you can add these spacer blocks. And you might be thinking spacers are like, they herald back to like the 90s when we used to add table and spacer GIFs and stuff like that to do compose our layouts. I kind of think it's clever. It's just basic divs that are expanding and creating space and forcing things into place on desktop view. And if you look on mobile, well, they all disappear. They all sort of collapse. And so everything on mobile is just one column. So it works. Okay. So over here, as you see, I'm putting this block and it's a medium one, so it stops here, but I'm adding a spacer, so I'm controlling the width this way. So I thought that was kind of neat. So how do you add a spacer? Well, you insert one in the flow somewhere, and then you can sort of place it to the right or whatever. You can place them where you want by dragging them. So that's basically how you do it. That's how you pull it off. One of the things that I want to do is, see how I'm using a spacer GIF here. I wanted to create bigger text in certain places so that it draws the eye. In Squarespace, the only thing you can do is one great thing is that you have 3 types of paragraph sizes. So paragraph 1, paragraph 2 is this one, and paragraph 3 is a smaller one that I'm using over here. Okay, but for headers, you're stuck with using header 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's not great because heading 1, 2, 3, 4 is meant to add structure to your page for people with a visual disability so that they can read your page and understand the structure of it from the how you structure their headings. But what if I wanted to size down a heading, but I didn't want to make it a subheading of another one in a structural sense? That's kind of what I'm trying to do in a lot of cases. So, this isn't great. It's not the end of the world, but it's not great either. I'll give you an example over here. I wanted the style of the headings, but I wanted them into links. These end up being headings in a bulleted list. This isn't great at all. I mean, these... I didn't want to have like small textual links because I didn't want to, I want these to punch out a little bit more, like I'm doing over here. I'm having these articles, and I wanted to create that effect, and I guess I couldn't. So that's that. I mean, there's other kinds of effects that I like to be able to do that that is sort of a little finicky in. It's a little finicky in Squarespace. For example, I like doing special kinds of lists decorated with other things. There's one kind that I like to do, and it is, I don't have it here. It's where it's where you want to do a 2 different kinds of lists instead of. And then you put check marks. You put X's next to all the things you want to move away from. And then you want to add another list that says, right below, that says, instead of this, you'll be getting this instead. And that second list has check marks. And so that kind of styling, you could basically pull it off in Squarespace if you used, emoji as those icons. Or, it's much better if you know how to do your own HTML and your own CSS if you want to do those kinds of neat treatments with your text. So that's that. Squarespace allows you to do that. Also, you can get a form at the bottom, which I think is pretty snazzy. And hooking it up so that it sends you an email whenever somebody fills out the form is great too. And let's see. Is there anything else I want to cover? I guess not. So that's Squarespace. It does a job. Now I'm gonna do other site builders like this in other videos. I'm gonna try them out. One of them I'm curious to try is Webflow because it has a lot of. You can do a lot of customization there. just by using Webflow. So I'm going to try that out. That's going to be coming up in another video. Now, let me tell you why I think this page works really well, and maybe why struggle first pages might be for you. This is a page that's not the home page of the site, but it's still a page that that this company points to in order to sell. Well, I won't tell you what they sell. I'll tell you the struggle that people are going through if they come to the page. So every time a person comes to a page, they got there from somewhere. You know, they don't come here. It's not a random person won't just come to this page or to your website. They will be led on by either an ad or a recommendation from somebody or search engine result. They'll have already their head filled with with a situation that brings them here. Nobody reviews a site like we review sites. You know, by looking at the aesthetics, nobody has that part of their brain working, the creative, sort of judgy, sort of constructive or taking things apart brain. We don't use that part of our brain. When we come to a page, we have our problem, our transaction, our desire loaded into our brain at the forefront, and we're scanning the page to see if we are at the right place. And if we are feeling that we're in the right place, we decide to scroll. That's basically how we work. And I thought that this page was pretty neat because it starts off with words that connect with the person's struggle. I've just switched on Microsoft Teams, and everybody's using it in our team, but I bet they're only touching the surface of what it can do. How can I help them adopt all its functionality and useful features, which will help me make their jobs easier as stressed IT manager? Is this situation likely? Well, it's not likely that an IT manager will be so gung-ho about Microsoft Teams that they will be like, I want my team to use it to the fullest. But maybe he will. I actually know some managers who might be thinking that. Some of my friends. So I'm thinking that's probably a situation that they'll likely come across and have in their mind. Nobody's using Microsoft Teams; they're just scratching the surface. It could be doing so much more. And so if that's the case, then they'll scroll, and if not, they'll press back. That's the beauty of it. You just relate back to them, to the visitor, their situation. Catch Me If You Can is our Microsoft 365 base experience. So it describes what the solution is, but what I really like is the words here: a connected unit rather than a disjointed, disrupted group of individual. And so there's something glitchy about the page here, but it's basically the page is saying from a disjointed, disrupted group of individual to a collaborative group or something like that. Like it's just, the heading here is supposed to show the before and the after, which I think is great. Now it goes on. It explains the process, what you get out of the product. But then after that, you're kind of hooked. You either are not hooked or you are, and then you'll skim down. You'll see steps. You'll see the cost. Okay, I get it. And then it's 4 sessions covering. Okay, so that's the value basically, and how you can get in touch to learn more. Okay, then the person will scroll back up again and hesitate at that point, have some back and forth in their mind. I want to, I don't want to. Oh, I can watch a video of the experience right now. They might want to do that. But basically, now they're in a situation where the struggle is not, do I stay on the page or not? The struggle is now, I am hesitating to go forward or not. And I have all these things that if I go through with it, I have to explain the expense. Is it going to be increasing your productivity? Are people going to be, feeling this is sort of a boring experience, or this is not going to be like one of those, it's not going to be worthwhile for us? The teammates might think that. Or is it going to be one of those team building experiences that are cringeworthy? All these things, those hesitations, are a great place to put on this page to sort of like appease those anxieties, and that's what I would change about this page at this point. And maybe the page does explain some of these, address some of these anxieties in the page already, but basically that's what's going on in the mind of the visitor. And so that's why I'm thinking text, struggle first approach to making pages is a great place to start. It just so happens that this page was made on Squarespace, and yeah, if those things are glitching, it's probably just my computer. I hope this was useful, and if you'd like some more of these videos, let me know, and I'll make some more. But I thought I'd put this one out, and there's going to be some more coming up. Okay? Cheers.